Hey everybody, it's the Common Sense Investor coming at you with another video. And today I want to talk about nickel, the nickel squeeze. Now, I ain't talking about the nickel, I'm talking about the commodity nickel that they use to make batteries and stuff with. They just squeezed, and I'm going to show you the article that I was just reading about that, and we're going to discuss how it affects AMC. So let me share my screen real quick. We'll get started. LME forced to halt nickel trading, cancels deals after price tops 100 grand. All right. London Medical Exchange was forced to halt nickel trading and cancel trades after price doubles on Tuesday to more than 100,000 per ton in a surge sources blamed on short covering by one of the world's top producers. The LME's shock move made the Western sanctions threatening supply from major producer Russia and marked the biggest crisis to hit the 145-year-old exchange in decades. In the 1990s, a rogue Summit OMA trader tried to corner the copper market, and tin trading was stopped for 5 years in 1980s. The current events are unprecedented. The suspension of the nickel market has created a number of issues for market participants which need to be addressed. Amid market panic sparked by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, buyers are scrambling for the metal crucial for making stainless steel and electric vehicle batteries. Traders said some position holders have also been stumbling to pay margin calls. One of the world's top nickel and stainless steel producers have been building a short position in nickel since last year, betting prices would fall. 3 sources familiar with the matter said. Prices rocketed, brought large amounts of nickel to reduce those short bets and exposure to costly margin calls. The LME raised margin requirements for nickel contracts by 12.5% to $22.50 a ton and suspended nickel trading on all venues for at least the rest of the day. The LME announced that all trades will be voided from midnight until 8:15 a.m. on Tuesday when trading stopped, and added that it was considering a closure for several days. People will be asking if this really a functioning market. This is meant to be a market of last resorts, and people can't get inventories to deliver against positions. LME also deferred physical delivery of maturing contracts and announced it would temporarily stop publishing official and closing nickel prices. they're, they're not even going to give a nickel price. The LME will actively plan for reopening the nickel market and will announce the mechanics of this to the market as soon as possible. 3-month nickel on LME more than doubled to 101,000 a ton before LME halted trades on this electronic system and in the opening outcry ring. So, what happened? Well, with the Russian invasion, and they supply the nickel went through the roof. But here's what happened. They stopped trading on nickel, and they said it was for a day, then it could be for a few days, and then they're going to reset the price to what it was 12 o'clock the day before when it reopens. They're going to set it for 12 o'clock, whatever it was the day before. In other words, it's not going to be 100 grand when it opens up. They halted it, and they said, whoop, that's enough. Stop my screen. They said, whoop, that's enough. Now it's up to 100 grand. Those that sold along the way, they made profits. It hit 100 grand. They froze it and they said that's enough. And they're not going to let it go any higher than that. They're either going to halt it for several days or they're going to back it up, they said, until 12, whatever the price was, 12 o'clock prior day. So if it was trading at $30,000, 12 o'clock the prior day, when it reopens, that's what it's going to reopen at. It's not going to reopen at the 100 grand. In other words, they stopped the squeeze. Now, what does that mean for AMC? I predict pretty much the same thing is going to happen. I believe that AMC is going to take off. And once it takes off, along with a couple of other ones, GME, probably Sundial, but once they take off, that's going to be it. They're going to freeze the fucking market. They're going to say, nope, no more trading these stocks. Now, I know how y'all feel. Y'all been prepped for a whole fucking year crying about the buy button, but you need to understand the buy button does not play a function in our squeeze play. The sell button does. And they could sell their nickel, but they couldn't buy any more nickel. That's what I believe they're going to try to pull with us. At what price range? I don't know. You look at stocks like Tesla that are already over $1,000, and you have other squeezes that you could point to say, well, that one went to 25,000. Yeah, but they didn't have the amount of shares that they have to cover with AMC. So with AMC being in such fuckery and continue to be in such fuckery, because today, even though they know there's no shares, you could still press buy on your fucking app and buy shares of AMC. Tell me how that's possible. But then they're going to continue to sell to us. And then once it takes off, they're going to cry, foul, foul, stop it. And they're going to freeze the fucking stock on us. That's what's going to happen. What we just saw happen in London with the nickel is what's going to happen over here with the AMC squeeze. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. I want this motherfucker to go on up to $10,000 and $20,000 just like everybody else. But you have to consider they're so far in the fucking hole, and there are people holding this stock that said they will never sell it till it gets to such a astronomical price. They're just going to me, I believe they're just going to, when it runs, they're going to halt the motherfucker. They're going to give you an option to get out. And if you get out, good. And if not, then you're going to have to go through lawsuits for the rest of ain't no telling how fucking long. But there's what happened in nickel. They suspended it. And then they said, well, what we're going to do is back the price up before that big spike up. We're going to back it up to that price. And then that's the price that it's going to be. That's not what the price is, but that's what they're going to put it at. And that's what you're going to have the ability to buy or sell then. So I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial planner, but you'd better be paying close attention, because once they halt this thing, what their plans are, they already know. We don't know what they're planning, but I see nickel, what happened with nickel, and I see what's happening with a couple of other ones, and they're not going to let this motherfucker run. I know we dream of the MOAS and we dream of generational wealth and that we're going to take back all this fucking money from the 1%ers, but the 1%ers ain't going to give it up. And they'll use $500 billion to bribe motherfuckers so that they don't have to pay $2 or $3 trillion. I mean, it's just reality, people. I love y'all. And maybe after this squeeze happens and people pull their money away from the market, then maybe that's what's going to get their attention and say, oh, okay, well, let's go ahead and pass this Transparency Act and all these other ones, the buy to cover rule and all this other great stuff. But we're going to have to finish going through this squeeze. Once we do, and we get our money, I believe the best thing in the world to do would be to pull all of us, pull on out the market and make a statement and say, we're out until you get this shit fixed. And I don't think it would take them to 2024 to get it fixed if they know that we just took all this money and got out of the market with it. They're going to want to get it fixed right then. See, nobody wants to talk to us right now. Nobody will talk to us. We see Charles Payne do news things and so forth, but nobody's paying us no attention, people. And they're not going to pay us no attention until once the squeeze happens and we get our money and we take that money out. That's when we'll get their attention, and that's when them motherfuckers will listen to us. Until then, we just have to ride this storm out. Now people are going to be texting, well, what do you think? Has your brackets changed and so forth? No, my brackets haven't necessarily changed. I believe they will let it run up $3,000-8,000. But I don't see it going no higher than that. They will freeze it and they will do what they got to do to save them. Now, the only thing we have in our favor is that BlackRock and Vanguard own major positions in AMC. I don't think they're going to paper hand. I think they're going to hold till around $1,000 a share. That's my belief. I believe they want it to 1,000 so that when they sell, it takes the money from the small brokerage, transfers it over to BlackRock and Vanguard legally. I'm figuring, I believe $1,000 a share. So if you want to know what I think, I'm thinking it's going to at least 1,000. Will it go higher than 1,000? Yes, I believe it's going to go higher than 1,000. But the key is going to be to watch when Vanguard and BlackRock sell. That's going to be the time when we need to get the fuck out too, because once they get their money, they're going to shut everything down. So if you're wondering what to look for and so forth, look for BlackRock and Vanguard to drop their positions. If you see that, you'll know the squeeze is pretty much over, because once they have their money, they are controlling this. When you talk about a controlled squeeze, they're controlling it, and they'll be the ones to decide when enough's enough. So keep your eye on BlackRock and Vanguard. They're going to be the key to when this moass is over, in my opinion. Love y'all and be blessed. Don't be mad at the messenger. Love you.